another round of direct payments for individuals. Do you support that at this time?
I do. I support it, but it has to be done properly, and I support actually larger numbers than the Democrats.
You want the direct payments larger or the uninsurance benefits
I want
larger?
the money getting to people to be larger so they can spend it. I want the money to get there quickly and in a non-complicated fashion.
All right, that was the president with our Blake Berman indicating right now he is open to still more stimulus and open to more stimulus checks. Republicans, by and large, not exactly in lockstep with him, at least on that aspect of it. I want to go to Jim DeMint right now, the White House Economic Revival Task Force, the former senator, best-selling author. Jim, first on the idea of more checks to folks. Republicans say, let's see the impact of what's already gone out stimulus-wise before we jump to writing more checks to folks. What do you think?
Well, Neil, it doesn't make sense to suffocate the patient while you're trying to resuscitate them. And in many cases around the country, we're still locking down the economy. So trying to push money in behind that doesn't make sense. I've talked to people all over the country as part of this economic task force, and people who are opening up, whether they be car dealerships or restaurants or bowling alleys, when they open, people are ready to come back. So I think it needs to be a combination of opening. But as the president said, just issuing checks is not necessarily the best way to do it. There are great economists like Steve Moore, and the president agrees with this, is a payroll tax holiday incentivizes people to go back to work. They make more money. It incentivizes employers to hire more people. It puts the incentives on the right side. And I think right now we need to be careful not to create more incentives for people not to work and for businesses to stay closed.
Are you worried about these spikes in cases, though, Jim, when it's delaying a lot of governors' reopening plans in the case of those in California and in Texas and in Florida and Arizona actually reversing them?
Well, actually, there's some good news behind these spikes. I mean, some of it, as you know, is a result of just more testing and better access to testing. But also, we're seeing younger people are getting it. Many don't have symptoms at all. And this is telling us and confirming the data, Neil, that healthy working age Americans have almost no risk from this. I mean, it's really those of us who are a little bit older. The average age of folks who die from this are over 80 years old, and most of them are in nursing care. That doesn't mean there's not any risk. But if we wait until we eliminate all the risk to go back to work, we're going to bring this country down in a way that's going to be much worse than any virus could ever do to us.
I'm wondering, given the surge in jobs that we have seen, it doesn't cover entirely this period of governors sort of going back and reversing some of the phase openings. It covers part of it, though. I'm wondering if it could slow the recovery much more than we're appreciating right now. The uptick we've seen in the markets, the uptick in jobs, that could reverse itself.
Well, it could. And a lot of the jobs, a quantity of jobs will come from retailers and restaurants and others. A lot of these are starting positions for younger people. And this is where social distancing is the most difficult. So I think we'll see that come back a little bit slower. But we see all over the country businesses of all kinds who are learning how to go back to work responsibly and safely. And most of the spikes are not attributed to people going back to work. It may be rallies or people on the beach or what else. But we are seeing that social distancing and all kinds of circumstances are reducing the infection rate. But, Neil, we've got to balance the risk of an economic complete meltdown versus the risk of going back to work carefully while this virus is here. Because no matter what happens in the future, whether the virus gets worse or better, we cannot keep the country locked down. We can't pay people enough, to stay home and be idle. There's a melting down point for our economy and our currency. So I'm not sure we put enough weight on the concern of what's going to happen if we don't get the economy back in a good gear pretty quickly.
Senator, always good catching up with you. Be well and safe this 4th. Thank you very, very much. Jim DeMint joining us on all these fast-moving developments. You as well.